disrespected person in America is the black woman. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.
My first real thoughts of beauty are probably related to the way that my mom and my grandmother looked, especially my grandmother.
I grew up in a house where I had my mom and dad, and then I had 3 older siblings, and my parents were immigrants from a different country, so there's a totally different culture that also played into how things ran in my household. It almost felt like they were like 2 different worlds, because like I had like the Caribbean mom and dad at home and their values and standards and their understanding of beauty, and then I went out every day to school in a very American, like Brooklyn neighborhood.
Some of my biggest style icons growing up would have been Janet Jackson or Whitney Houston. They were both really popular when I was coming up.
I would say my biggest icon growing up was definitely Zendaya. I think when I was a kid, I used to watch Disney Channel a lot, and Zendaya was the only black girl that was on Disney Channel, and I think she looked a lot like me. She was always up like on the latest fashion. She was taller than everyone else. And I think now I still look up to her just because I can see like how, I feel like we've kind of, which is weird to say, I feel like we've kind of grown up together.
Growing up, what was important to me, or what I realize now was important to me, was seeing black faces around me and seeing and being able to recognize like beauty in that. So like, for example, I loved watching Family Matters. I loved watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I loved watching The Parkers and Moesha and all those shows.
I really remember picture days. There would be a really small comb that would be passed around for everyone to get their hair ready right before the picture was taken, and that comb was not exactly one that I would be able to use for my hair to get ready for picture day.
So I feel like growing up for me, I never really at one point in time felt like I wasn't beautiful or really struggled with that. And I think part of it is because at some point in time, I've always gotten some sort of praise about myself. And a lot of the times it had to do with the color of my skin.
I went to a predominantly white high school, and I always noticed that when a black girl would do something, it was kind of like, why is she doing that? Everyone would look at her differently. But if a white person or a white girl was to do the same thing, it was she has fashion, or she's fashionable, or she's up on the latest trends.
So many people were always like, oh, you're light skinned, you're so beautiful. You have light eyes, they are so beautiful.
Not really in my own personal life, but in lives of close friends and family members. I've heard it said that they're pretty for a dark-skinned girl, or there are references to, you know, the shade of their skin.
I think people just enjoy watching what the standard of beauty is, and I think the standard of being beautiful is the white woman with the blonde hair and the blue eyes and the long hair, and I don't think that black girls have had the same opportunity as white women have, because we're not always seen as beautiful if our skin's too dark, or if it's textured, or if our hair is not the way that they want it to look.
When I think about like colorism, and most times when you hear that word, people are saying like, you know, what's that? But it's basically this thing that we do in various communities, but most times we attach it to the African American community, where we look at the shade of a person. And it's about acceptance, and usually the lighter you are, the more accepted you are, and that's just part of like this American history, never being darker than a paper bag. But the reality is that it's offensive, first of all. It tears people down.
In the back of my mind, even though I was like plus size, I've always been a bigger girl since I was like in elementary school. And I know like sometimes people would try to tease me about that, but then it was just like, but you're light skinned, so you're good. Like, you're cute. That just has kind of always stuck with me. I think there are times legit when I think through growing up, if I wasn't light skinned and I was darker and plus size, I think that I probably would have had like a major complex about my beauty.
Especially depending on like the type of people that I'm gonna be around. If I'm going to be around people who look like me, I feel like I'm more comfortable with my natural hair, no makeup. If I'm around people who don't look like me, I feel like I have to wear my hair straight, I have to put on makeup, I have to put on an outfit.
I started straightening my hair. I would always have relaxers. It was never appropriate in my mind to wear my natural hair. It just was not an option. After my first daughter was born, it didn't really occur to me until she started school, and she went to school with predominantly white students. She was one of the only black students, and she started to be a little concerned about about her hair.
What colorism does, it separates us, even as a people. As African American people, we're often looked down on just because of the way that this structure of the society has been and the way that systems are put in place to isolate us and pull us apart. So often we do that to each other. We come right back around and say, you know what? Oh man, look at this dark-skinned person. And I remember back in the day when the coolest dark-skinned person was Wesley Snipes. And I don't know how he became the role model of dark skin. There's a lot of people even now who are using creams and all sorts of things to make themselves lighter, to appear lighter, to be more acceptable into society. But the reality is that we just got to start dealing with who we are. And then as a community, embracing each other. I love to see those differences and whatnot. I appreciate people who are darker.
Beauty for me, it is a mixture of being comfortable in your own skin, being confident in who you are, and being able to like shine in and through that.
Nobody wants to walk around all looking the same, because then we lose that idea of difference and beauty.
Now that I've got granddaughters, it's really turned around a lot. It's less of an option for me now to want to wear my hair straight. I really feel like it's important for them to see me with natural hair so that they understand that there are options, that they are not. It's not necessary for them to straighten their hair in order to feel beautiful.
It's being kind to people and treating people the way that you would want to be treated, and making people feel like they want to be around you more so because of how you make them feel versus how you look.
As a male, as a father, as a black male as well, it's been very important for me to reinforce their beauty, to let them know that you are a beautiful young lady, that you have beautiful eyes, that you're gorgeous, and that you can do anything you want to do. So it's kind of reinforcement. It's all those things are true, but sometimes you don't get to hear that all the time. So it's important that you hear that at home when the world sometimes won't say those things to you.
My grandmother always used to tell me that pretty is as pretty does, and that I truly do believe that. I think that the way that you treat other people, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you, the level of respect that you have for yourself and for others is what actually depicts your beauty.